Welcome to another episode of the Nashville Dads. For this episode, we have on Heidi Steinrock from Better Care Booking. Better Care Booking provides backup care for when your child is sent home sick from daycare. Heidi tells us how she got to Nashville, her experience with being a house mom and daycare worker, and why she thinks it's important to provide care for sick children. Make sure to check out their website at bettercarebooking.com. So on this episode, we have Heidi. How do you pronounce your last name?
Steinrock.
Steinrock.
German.
Heidi
Steinrock.
German. Niesen. So from one German to another. Welcome.
Okay. I noticed your last name. All right.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Congrats on being the first woman that's been on the Nashville Dads podcast.
That's really funny.
Yes.
I don't know why, but I love it. Well, thank you for having me. It was kind of out of the blue. I kind of popped up on your radar from nowhere, and you've been nothing but kind and welcoming, and I'm so kind.
Yes. We'll talk about your business and what services you offer. But first, want to know a little bit about you. Are you a mom? Do you have any kids? Like, how long have you lived in Nashville? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, my name is Heidi. I'm 36. I'm not a mom. I don't have kids. I've never been married.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Nashville in 2016, but I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. And how I kind of got into the kid field is that I'm the youngest of 5 kids. And so I didn't have younger siblings to learn how to take care of a baby. And so my mom invited a family over from our church that just had a newborn. And she invited them over about once a week to babysit their newborn. And so she could teach me how to take care of a baby. And I ended up babysitting for that family. They ended up having 3 kids. So I got all the infant, toddler, and then the little bit older phase with those 3 kids. And it just something my mom taught me how to do. So I think I always felt confident doing it. And so I just kept babysitting. And then after college, moved into nannying. And then I was a house mom after college on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. I was a house mom for teenagers. That was awesome. I could talk all about that as much as you want to know. Just let me know. And then I moved to Nashville in 2016 and have been working with kids again since then.
Where'd you go to college at?
I went to college in Jackson, Tennessee at Union University. It was awesome. It was a great experience. I was there when the tornado hit in, I think, 2008.
Yeah, 2008.
So that was wild. Like crazy.
So I'm from Southern Indiana. How do you like being from Louisville? Like, do you have a lot of Louisville pride now that you've left or anything like that?
I used to be so hardcore. I used to love Louisville. And I mean, nothing happened to make me not love it. I've just been away for so long that I don't really identify with it as much because, gosh, I guess I left in 2011.
Oh, okay.
I haven't lived there since 2011 because I moved from there to South Carolina. But Louisville is awesome. You know, they're trying to be, or they probably are, I'm sure. But when I was there in kind of my early 20s, just graduated college, so kind of like living the life, free woman, finally did the college thing, and now I'm just working. And my 2 goals were to get to know the city and get to know the people of Louisville. And I think I accomplished that, but I was out and about a lot and I loved Louisville. But yeah, I moved away in 2011. So my whole family's there. My dad, he started a roofing company. They're all there. Both of his sons work for his roofing company. So we have strong roots in Louisville.
Cool.
And I go back periodically, but yeah, I don't identify too much with it anymore.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I love being in Nashville.
What brought you to Nashville? How come you moved from Hilton Head to Nashville?
It's what my dad would call a God incident. I really had no plans. I had a friend that lived here and had actually been saying, "Hey, I have a free bedroom. Come to Nashville. Come to Nashville." And I was like, "I'll never live in Nashville." Like, no. I was on Hilton Head. I was a house mom. I was involved at my church.
What is a house mom? I've never heard the term house mom before.
Yeah, so a house mom, there's a golf academy on Hilton Head Island, and golf students, high schoolers, sometimes middle schoolers, would come from all over the world to train at this golf academy to eventually go on to play for university or become a pro. And so they would attend a local high school, and then the school would get out early. They'd go to the golf academy and train. And we did housing for them. So I was
Okay.
on the housing side. Yeah. So we had 6 little houses. I mean, you could see the ocean, just from our street. And then, 3 girl houses, 3 guy houses. And they were all like different colors, like pink, blue, white, purple, green. And there was like a white picket fence in front of it. Like if you saw a picture, I found it on Craigslist. It was so random. And I remember like seeing it on Craigslist and being like, is this a scam? Like I live on this island. I've never seen this place. Like what in the world? But it was real. And so I applied. And so I lived in a house with like 5 to 7 teenage girls for 2.5 years. People from all over the world. And they would attend local high school and then do the golf academy, come home, do homework, go to bed. I mean, some of the most disciplined, like on schedule, on task students I have ever met. Incredibly impressive. But I was their mom away from home. So I cooked meals for them, took them to doctor's appointments, took them to practice. You're truly like on call 24/7. Even when you get like a weekend off, I'm doing air quotes around weekend off because
Yes.
they feel like your kids. Like if they need something, like you're the one that they go to. And so, I remember running, I think it was like a 5K or something, and my phone started going off, and it's one of my girls. So I'm answering the phone while I'm running on this 5K, and she's like, Heidi, like, somewhere she wanted to be that she forgot about. She was like, can you take me now? And I'm like, let me finish this race.
Yes. That's awesome.
So yeah, it was a gift. It brought a lot of joy to my life. I was coming off of kind of a rough patch in life, an unexpected rough patch like we all have.
Yeah.
And so to live with them just brought so much joy because they're hilarious.
Yes.
They're just so funny. Yeah, and a little absurd, but it's okay. Their brains are not fully developed yet, even though they fully believe that they are. So it was a trip for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question? House mom?
I mean, yeah, house mom. Yeah. Now I understand. You acted like a mom for people who all lived in a house together. So house mom.
Yes, legit. Yep. I'd be up till midnight sometimes doing homework with them, and then they would wake up at 4 a.m. and want to go to the gym. So I'd wake up, drive them to the gym, come back, start breakfast, go pick them up from the gym. I mean, these kids were dedicated.
Yeah.
But it was a full-time job. It was awesome. It was a gift. It was a gift for sure. Yeah.
And then you went from that to moving to Nashville?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I moved in August of 2016.
Okay.
And so, yeah, didn't really have a plan to, but this is one of those things where I'm wondering, how much in detail do I go into? But
yeah.
I love God. Jesus has just dramatically saved my life. And, when all other avenues of light suddenly go dark, he was the one that still was shining bright and just pulled me toward him with so much love. So he's like the only hope that actually proved true for me. So he had my heart so deeply. So in living on Hilton Head, he's like this one love I just can't get out of my head, without going into too much detail, just absolutely divine intervention in March of 2016, and really just got so much freedom from these dark chains that were on me. And it was like I got set free and was just like free to run after the light like I had never been able to before. And I met some people that were just so in love with God and so filled with joy, filled with peace. It's like they were living face to face with God all day, every day. And I wanted to learn more of how to do that. And there was a worship night happening here in Nashville on Friday nights. And so I started FaceTiming in. And then I moved here. I moved to Nashville a couple months after meeting some of these people and FaceTiming for a couple months. So I moved in August of 2016 and been here ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. What all type of jobs have you worked since you moved here?
Yeah, well, I thought I would get a nannying job. Well, I started off doing sales. Like if you've ever been flagged down by AT&T and like Costco or Sam's or something, like I was one of those people. So I did Sam's. And so I did that for a few months, but it was not for me. I thought I would nanny because that's what I've always done. And it's always been very easy for me to find a family to nanny for. But I just could not find a nannying family. It was so bizarre. And so I had a friend that worked at a daycare. She was like, let me hook you up. You can work at this daycare. So I started there thinking, I'm going to be out of here in like 2 months as soon as I find a nannying family. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like 6 years later, and I was still at the daycare. But it was awesome because it was just, first of all, I learned so much from the training that the daycare put us through. As someone who, my mom taught me, I had like the at-home teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd been in people's homes as a nanny, so I thought I was pretty good. I thought I knew a lot, but then I went through the training that some of these daycares put us through, and you learn about developmental milestones and like how when the kid is throwing his sippy cup off his high chair onto the floor, 20 times in a row, they're not just being difficult. Their brain is actually like learning cause and effect, and
Yeah.
like things are going on in the brain. It transformed how I engaged with kids, learning about developmental milestones and just different things like that. So the daycare was a gift, a
Cool.
totally different environment than nannying in someone's home. You're in a home with one or two kids, and then daycare, you're like in a classroom with
Yeah.
24 or 12 kids, and it's like bombs going off all over the classroom, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
running around trying to like make sure everyone's safe and
Yeah.
cared for as much as you can. So two totally different worlds, and I never thought I would be at a daycare
Yeah.
for 6.5 years. I think it ended up being, but I was, and I'm so grateful. It taught me so much.
I feel like that's a good natural segue into the business that you started. Tell me about, is it Better Care Booking? Is that correct?
Better Care Booking.
Yes. Tell us about
Yes.
it. Tell us what all you do.
Well, we help working parents who are trying to stay at the jobs that they have worked hard to attain, not miss work when their kiddos are sick specifically. I have seen so many parents over the years cry, get mad, get frustrated because little Johnny or little Susie is sick again at daycare, and the daycare can't help it. They have to follow DHS regulations, which require the school to send a sick kid home under certain conditions. So, I mean, I spent year after year. I don't know how these parents do it. I don't
Yeah.
know how they miss so much work um, to come pick up their kids and stay home with their kids when their kids are sick. And so we provide, like, if little Johnny's sick at daycare and it's 9 a.m. and the daycare calls mom or dad and it's like, hey, little Johnny's, he just threw up everywhere. You got to come get him.
Yeah.
Parents can text us, and within 15 minutes, we'll find them a babysitter. And within an hour, that babysitter can be wherever the parent wants them to be, either at their home with the kid or they can go to the preschool and pick up the kid. We
Mm-hmm.
just want to keep parents in the jobs they have worked so hard to get to. I don't know how they do it. My hat's off to them. But I just saw a massive lapse in this daycare coverage. And it's not even the daycare's fault,
Mm-hmm.
it's DHS regulations, which we're thankful for
Yes.
because they help keep, staff and
Yeah.
kids safe. So they're crucial,
Yeah.
but it creates just a hole.
Nope, that's
So,
mostly why I became a stay-at-home parent. Is when we only had two kids, I was still working full time, and for me to make money, I had to be physically present at my job to do it, and my wife could work from home. Um, so like I would basically like either it was like it was a constant negotiation of all right, cool. Do I not get paid today, which is how we pay for this daycare and part of how we pay for our house, or does my wife try to do phone calls while also watching a kid at the same time? And if those are your two options, like, yeah, if you're a daycare and you have a stomach bug going around, you're not going to let the stomach bug kids stay at the school. They've got to go somewhere else.
100%.
Creates this
Yeah.
huge gap of people who want to work and want their kids well taken care of. But also, if your kid has a temperature or a stomach bug, what's the solution, especially if you don't have family in town?
Yeah, and I think that aspect right there hits hard for a lot of Nashville folks
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many families here that weren't raised here and
Yep.
their family isn't here. And it's they're texting the neighbor, everyone that they can find, and it's just it's chaotic. It feels so wrong that it's hard to believe there isn't like a more feasible popular, practical, well-known
Yeah.
solution, which is why I really started this. I just couldn't believe that this was going on, like,
Yeah.
unresolved. Like, how is this? These are like our livelihoods, or like
Yes.
parents, their
Yeah.
livelihoods. Like, this is not a small thing,
No, it's like people went to school for
as you know.
years. Yeah, people went to school for years to study this trade, and then they aren't able. Then it's like, well, I also kind of want to do the trade. That's why I studied and practiced it for so long. And but you also got to make sure your kids are taken care of.
Yep.
What's
Yeah.
the most common? So, like your business and everything is one where, like, whenever you reached out to us, I was like, how? Wait, what? Like, what's the most common reaction? Because your business model seems like so straightforward and like there's such a great need for it. I'm almost like, wait, how has no one else thought of this before? What's a common reaction you get whenever you tell people what you do for a living?
Um, well, I've had people ask me if I've patented it. Like,
Sure.
have you
Yeah.
patented that idea?
Yeah.
Like, that was really encouraging to hear.
Hmm.
But it's general shock. It's like, why has no one thought of this?
Yeah.
This is such a great idea. Like, and then it's really neat. Even when I interview caregivers, they'll have, like, I had one young girl say to me she was drawn to it because she was like, my dad was a single dad, and I remember when I was a kid and I would be sick, how much stress it put
Yeah.
on him to navigate childcare, and like he could have used this when I was growing up. And it was really cool to hear that from a babysitter. And then I have, you know older women who are also interviewing to be caregivers with us, and they'll say, I remember how stressful it was when my kids were young and going to school and they got sick. And so it's like, from the younger generation to the older generation,
Hmm.
uh, people resonate with it.
Cool.
And so that's been really neat to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I guess whenever I told people that I was gonna talk to you today, I feel like one of the most common questions I got was like, how do you choose the people who work for you? Like, what's your vetting process? Do you have like you must be CPR certified, you must be all these things before you let someone go out and help with kids? Like, how do you do all of that process?
Yes, sir. Well, we do it. We get them what I call pre-qualified, which basically means we do all the vetting so that the parents don't have to ask all these questions and wonder about these, if the caregiver is CPR certified and whatnot, because it's all on the fly. It's all in the middle of the day. You're in the middle of a work day. You just need somebody, and hopefully a good quality person, but you don't have the time to vet them out.
Hmm.
Even, logging onto job postings, or babysitting apps where, people post their profiles, you send them a message, and then you just got to, like, wait to hope you hear back,
Yeah.
in time, when, it's just too much. So we pre-vet them. They go through a background check with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. It's the same background check that preschools run.
Cool.
And then we get them first aid CPR certified, in person training. You can go online and get a CPR certification. I'm going to do air quotes because I call it fake CPR.
Hmm.
You can get certified for like $14.99 online, watch some videos, 2 year
Interesting.
certification. And if you go to the websites, it's like thousands of people have done it, 5-star rating, it's OSHA approved, but the daycares don't accept it.
Okay.
And there's no in-person training, there's no instructor to see if you're doing it right. So we don't do the fake CPR. We do actual in-person with an instructor.
Yeah.
So I always tell parents, like, your babysitter's saying they're CPR certified, but what does that even mean? They probably paid like $14.99 for it. So we just no. And so we get them first aid CPR certified, background checked. I interview them. We get a couple written references. They have to
Okay.
have childcare experience, obviously. And what's cool is that they know that they're going to be working with sick kids, and they still sign up for it. They're
Yeah.
like unfazed by that, which I think is just a great litmus test of their heart to care. So that's really awesome. And our caregivers are everyone from grandmas to college students.
Okay.
The flexibility, we've been called the Uber for babysitters, not in a transportation sense,
Yeah.
but in the flexibility sense.
Cool.
Basically, they pick what days they want to work, and then they get notified when there's a client in need, but they never have to accept a job.
Okay.
So we keep multiple caregivers on call every day, so caregivers have flexibility to take a job, not take a job, but we've got enough that parents are always covered. So it's really a blessing for caregivers, because they can, we have business owners that work from home, but they have flexibility and freedom in their schedule. And so sometimes, they have a day where they're not doing anything. They're like, yes, let me go take care of a kid and make some extra money.
Yeah.
And So it's just awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, that still sounds too good. Like I'm like that's such a. It feels like you've created a network of like the ladies who would be at the church nursery who they're on call for you basically to come help out sick kids is what it feels like.
That's what it is.
Which is really cool. Well
I
done
really,
for thinking of this.
well, it's created by a tremendous need in the lives of parents.
Yeah.
And parents are, I mean, I almost feel like I could get emotional, but um, parents are such a blessing, and what they're living their own lives, but then their lives are just deeply, intimately, I'm sure more than I can imagine, tied to this other little tiny human.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just constantly nurturing, constantly pouring out, just constantly giving of yourself. I mean, it's just, there's nothing like a parent. And then you've got this whole more external thing of your career and working. I mean, these two massive aspects of life, parenting and work, and they just shouldn't be like mortal enemies. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And it felt like that's what it was like this beautiful aspect of childcare and parenting that was just constantly punching careers in the face.
Yeah.
It just felt brutal. And it was like, this shouldn't be like this. This doesn't have to be like
Yeah.
this.
And it's usually, I feel like it's usually mostly for like I'm assuming most of the parents who call you have younger kids. Cause I feel like once they get into like school or something like that, it's like a little bit different for what communities you can find. I feel like having a sick kid that's younger than like 4 and finding someone who's willing to watch them is a very like difficult thing to do. But for some reason, once they get into school, I feel like it's like like, I think it's easy to find community through like a school community, but less than 5, it feels a little bit harder to find that community.
Yeah, I think it's still also new for
Yeah.
parents. I feel like that
Yeah.
age. Once you've got a couple kids, you know how the ropes pretty well
Yeah.
by then.
You've
But
got your
yeah, it's just
overconfidence.
it's an interesting phase of life. I mean, I'm sure well, I was going to say, what do you remember about those days? But you told me. I
Yeah.
mean, you ended up
Quitting.
staying home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And was that because of childcare issues?
It was, yes. No, it was partly childcare issues and even by childcare issues, it just means your kid gets sick and someone needs to take care of your kid. And like, so it's not like, yes, as you said, also like, it's not at fault of the daycare that we were going to that whenever our kids had fevers, they said you can't come back for 24 or 48 hours. That's not a daycare's fault. That's state laws and regulations, which I agree with. So it's the reality of both of you working, we figured out how to basically be like, all right, what are some things we're going to cut out of our life so we can live off one salary? And then, but also welcome back a lot of mental space of not having the conversations every single day of, I have this meeting at this time. If our kid is sick, you're on call. I have this at this time. If a kid gets sick, you're the one who needs to step out, basically. Not having to have any of those conversations anymore. It makes me be like, should I go back to work? And I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of nice to avoid all of that world.
The New York Times put out an article at the beginning of this year, and it was talking about childcare in relation to mental health
Mm-hmm.
and the mental health of parents, and just talking about how like childcare is going to be considered a mental health issue moving forward because it puts so much strain on parents
Yeah.
that it's a mental health issue. And
Yep.
that was the premise of the whole New York Times article.
Yeah. No, it's
So
a
what you're saying
huge,
reminds
yeah,
me of that.
it's a huge unknown every single day. And I think most of us, when we start our days, are like, all right, what's my stable ground? What's my certainty? And whenever you have kids, that ground becomes a little shakier. So you look for outlets, you look for friends, you look for a community that can help your ground feel like it's still stable.
Yeah, I was just reading a study. I think it's like two-thirds of parents, and this was across the United States, two-thirds of parents two-thirds of kids have both parents working full-time
Yeah.
jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like crazy. There was a study, I think in 2018, that what's it called? Tennesseans for Quality Early Education
Mm-hmm.
just put together an awesome study. 2019 is when the study came out. And the total annual economic loss in Nashville due to insufficient childcare was 235 million.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not even the state. That's just in Nashville.
Yep.
It says parents lost 150 million, businesses 47 million, and this is what got me. Taxpayers 38 million.
Yeah.
Because it was just talking about the trickle effects of, people
Lost
not
wages.
showing up for work, business. Yes. So it's like, it's no joke.
It's genuinely baffling that I'm glad you thought of this business model, but I'm genuinely confused that no one else has thought of it first, because there is that great of a need, and there's a massive gap.
Yeah. Well, and I think people have tried, but I made a very short little video about this. It's just easy to get in groupthink. And when one thing has been done one way for so long, it just can be hard for our minds to get out of that model. So there are backup programs out there. It's not like they don't exist.
Okay.
They do exist. But the ones that I talked with one mom, and she works for a nationwide, might be global business that's headquartered here in Nashville. I mean, like billions of dollars. So she told me all about the benefits she got with them with childcare. So I heard those, and then I talked to another mom, and she works for the government, and her benefits were even better than this other mom that worked for this, multi-billion-dollar. And so this mom that worked for the government was telling me her childcare benefits. So like the best of the best that I've heard. And even with her benefits, she was connected with a couple backup care options. But the way that it works is they say, okay, if you can find a backup babysitter through these options, then like the company paid for it. But if you can't, we'll just reimburse you later.
Yeah.
So it's like backup care, but not even a guarantee of backup care. It's like, here's some options, but it's still so flaky that they don't even guarantee backup coverage, like the best of the best benefits, not even guaranteed. It's like, we'll pay for it if you can find it, but if you can't, we'll just reimburse you later. So basically there's a 50% shot. You're still going to scramble like an Olympic sport, coordinating schedules, trying to find anybody last minute. And it's like, what's the point of backup care? Like if it's not even there when you need it. Like what?
It's also almost like slightly rude, because the company, and it's a good policy for a company to have, but it's like, well, if you find it, we'll give you some money, but good luck.
Right. I don't understand. Like, I'm with you. I don't understand how this has gone overlooked for so long.
Me either.
I don't know. But so we're like 15 minutes, we'll connect you with someone or your money back, because if we can't even provide you service, what is the point of us even being here? Like, I refuse to do it. Like, it doesn't even make sense. You can't call it backup care if it's not actually there. You know what I mean?
It's like having a backup generator. Your power goes out, you turn on the generator, and it doesn't work. And you're like, well, this was your only job, guy. Like, come on.
Right.
What are some common questions you get? Like, if someone finds your business and like is like finding information about you, what are some common questions you get from parents?
I need someone tomorrow. Can you help me?
Why aren't you here yet?
That actually is probably the first thing I hear from parents. Other questions, more in a general sense, is the broad question of just, how does this work? Some parents are really inquisitive, like they want to know all about the background check, all about, things like that, which is awesome. Yeah. I mean, no, it's really, can someone be here tomorrow?
Cool.
And then it's like, how does this work?
Yeah.
So I tell them.
How much do you charge? Like, do you charge by the hour? Do you charge by the day? How does like actually paying for it work out?
Yeah. Well, it's a membership. That's
Cool.
like a subscription.
Awesome.
It's like buying a monthly subscription service. Yeah. So you can start at $40 a month for one kid. And you pay monthly, and you can use the service as many times as you want. Some backup care agencies, it's like $25 per booking per every time you use it, but just pay the monthly subscription and use it as many days a month as you want to. And then parents pay the babysitter an hourly rate. They pay the babysitter directly $18 an hour. So that $18 an hour is for background checked, references, interviewed, real CPR versus fake CPR. And Yeah, and all of that money goes straight to the babysitter. And
Cool.
some of like the two moms that had the benefits, one with the big company and then the other mom with the government benefits, the backup care program, you negotiate the rate for the babysitters on that platform, but the platform takes a portion of the
Oh,
babysitter's rates,
okay.
if I'm understanding correctly. So babysitters will then raise their rates on the
Of
platform to help
course.
make up for what they lose. So
Yeah.
then parents end up paying more.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, we just try to keep it really
Cool.
simple as possible, and just just as efficiently and quickly and easily as we can make the workday for parents so they can stay in the job that
Hmm.
they probably love. Hopefully they love it, but they've worked really hard for, no doubt, you know, and
Yeah.
it's their livelihood.
Yeah.
It's I don't think it's something to mess with or
Yeah.
play around with, you know.
So it's like I would pay a
Yeah.
membership fee, and that gives me access to the people that you've vetted, you've checked out basically. And then it's like $18 an hour basically for them, and all of that money goes directly towards them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And if little Johnny wakes up at 1 a.m. and is puking, and you're like, he's not going to daycare tomorrow, you can text our booking line. It's Better Care Booking, so we have a booking line.
Mhm.
You can text that number at 1 a.m. like, hey, I need a caregiver. And then you know that by 7:15 the next morning, you will have a caregiver.
Cool.
So you can text at 1 a.m., put in your request, go back to sleep, knowing
Yeah.
the issue is already solved. You're not going to have to scramble for it. And when you wake up the next morning, you're going to be connected with someone. And it's so you can text 24/7 if you need
Cool.
care, which I love. I think that's awesome.
Mhm.
And I'm really happy to offer that to a parent. You know, I can't imagine dealing with the 1 a.m. throw up situation and then knowing in the back of your mind, how am I going to find care in the
Mhm.
morning? You
Yeah.
know, how do you even go back to sleep?
You
You
don't.
know? Yeah.
For
No.
multiple reasons, you don't. You just sit there like, are they going to throw up again? Am I going to start throwing up? Is
No.
another kid going to start throwing up? You just go
Right.
through the list of like the list of who might be throwing up next is what you do.
Bless you, parents.
Yes.
How old are your kids now?
They are 8, 6, and 2.5. So the 8 and 6-year-old are
Oh,
in second grade and kindergarten, and the 2.5-year-old is currently asleep upstairs. So
little
monitor.
guy.
So yep.
Oh.
Is there anything else you want to mention about like your services or your company?
All that comes to mind is I just want to keep parents in the
Cool.
careers that
Yeah.
they've worked hard to attain.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a fun environment to walk into. When I've taken a couple clients, you know, at the last minute and gone in, and
Yeah.
parents are just overwhelmingly thankful when we walk in the door. Thank you so much for being here. You're saving the day. When they
Yeah.
come home from work at the end of the day, thank you so much for being here. You've saved the day. We can't believe like something like this exists. Their gratitude is overwhelming. So
Okay.
that's been really confirming to me
Yeah.
of the blessing that it would be to parents. And you know, one mom calls us her Better Care angels.
That's
She was
awesome.
like, I loved Addison. Addison was my first Better Care angel.
Yeah.
So that's been a really sweet part of it, is seeing the blessing that it brings to parents.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's really
Yeah.
cool. And yeah, nope. Sadly, there is a massive gap of whenever your kid gets sick, but you still have a job. And it's thanks for spending some time to discuss it and let us know what all you do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course.
truly, I'm like, you don't know me from Adam, and you've just been so kind.
Well, thank you.
And so I hope that there's some parents out there who have been looking for something to help that work-life balance, and I hope that maybe this will be an answer for them.
Yeah, I hope so too. I didn't
Yeah.
normally we end an episode with like doing 5 questions, but they're all parent related. So I have to think of, if I wanted to do 5 questions for you, how I would change them up. So I think I've thought of
Yes.
normally it's 5, but I'm going to do 4 because I'm kind of doing this off the top of my head. So to end
I'm
the
excited.
interview, I'm going to ask you some random icebreaker questions. So this is one of my favorite
Great
questions.
timing. Icebreakers at the end.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
awesome.
Why not? This is when you really get to know someone after talking for 40 minutes.
Right.
So first question, whenever you're around kids, there are bound to be frustrating moments, or just in general, life makes you frustrated. what is your go-to backup like curse word? Like whenever you want to say a bad word, but you know you can't say a bad word because there are little kids around. What's your go-to like fiddlesticks? You know, like we're like, oh, cheese and crackers. Like, what's your go-to frustration word to say?
Oh man. This answer has potential to be a lot of fun, but I don't think I'm going to provide any fun for it.
That's just you just never get
I don't
mad. That's what
really,
you're
I
telling
don't,
us.
no, that wouldn't be real life. That wouldn't be honest. Not at
Yes.
all. I am extremely laid back,
Mhm.
but I mean, we know how kids they
Yeah.
can hit something in you that like you didn't
I
even
didn't
know
I could get this
existed
mad.
until yeah. So I'm trying to think. I don't want to not be real, but I honestly can't think of anything.
That's okay.
I feel like maybe an eye roll.
Okay. Yeah. It's more
That
physical.
sounds really
like,
weak. Yeah, I think I go into a state of shock
Mhm.
sometimes that kids would behave that way.
Mhm.
And so I think I just like, I'm just stunned. You know, I'm sure that I've probably have cursed at some point, but I can't remember it. It's been so long, I can't remember. I've cried a few times. They've
Okay.
made me cry a few times for
Yeah.
sure.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Next question. Who's your favorite TV mom? Like if there's like a mom that was on TV where you're like, that's a good mom. Who's your favorite TV mom?
Devin,
Yes.
I don't think you realize how much I live under a rock.
Do
Probably
you live
because I've
under a
never
rock?
told you.
What's the TV
I
like? What's the
live
TV
under a
reception
rock.
like under that rock? You can do a book also.
I
Like
don't watch TV.
what's a fictional mom? Like
I mean, someone's coming to mind, but they don't meet your
no, who is it?
requirements.
Who is it?
It's my spiritual mama,
Okay.
and her name's Cheyenne,
Okay.
and she watching her parent with her kids has um, just been a gift.
Cool.
I mean, probably been the single strongest influence on me relating to kids in the sense of like treating them like real people with real hearts.
Yep.
And they're experiencing real emotions just like we do. And like, that's valid and that needs to be addressed. And like, they're precious. And like, I don't know. And just from a spiritual aspect and, wanting to care for their hearts with the love of God, that's been for sure probably the biggest influence and the mom that's impacted me the most. Yeah.
Nice. Next question. What's like, since you're around kids all the time, what's one of your favorite kids' toys? Like whenever a kid plays with it, you actually like, oh, this is a fun thing to play with.
Oh man. I was at this
That's not TV
center
related.
the other day. Thanks. Well, this one kid that I currently babysit periodically, he's got this like technology these days is so awesome, and he's got like this whole thing that transforms from a car. It's big and it transforms from a car to like this like station thing, but you just like press a button like a real transformer. You know what I mean? It's so cool. It just blows my mind when he does that. I'm stunned.
Yeah.
I love that thing. I don't know what it is, but it's something cool.
Yeah. It's engineering and like foresight that like toy designers have nowadays is like, you're like, well, this is like actually really complex. How did you do this? The other one I have is like least favorite kids TV show. Like if you're nannying or helping out with the kids, whenever a kid puts a TV show on the TV that you're like, guys, we can't watch this today. Or is there anything like that whenever you're at someone's house where you're like, guys, please turn this off. This is such a annoying show to me.
I know for sure there have been that. When I used to babysit with for older, a little bit older, some of the things that they would watch were just horrifying to me.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the show, but like even like they're not cartoon shows, but I want to say that they're maybe on Disney or something. It was like young kids, like real actors. Just the way that they related to each other with their sense of humor was always like super mean.
Yes.
Like that's how they would even joke with each other, is like being mean to each other on the show. And then I would watch these siblings like engage with each other, and I'm just like, oh my gosh,
it's this weird.
Please don't learn from this.
Yeah, no, it definitely happens. You watch one show, and then the next day your kids are acting like those characters basically, and you're like, you guys are nicer than this.
Yes, yes, they mimic what they see on TV so
Yep.
much. It's crazy.
It
I mean,
is.
from the tone of their voice to the jokes that they
Yep.
say, they become what they watch.
Yeah, they do. Well,
Mhm. Mhm.
Heidi, I think that's all I got for you. That's the episode. That's the interview. Thanks for your time. Thanks for letting us know about your services. And I bet a lot of people will contact you.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you, and God bless you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks again for listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Nashville Dads and to subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify podcast. We record at New Light Podcast Studio and episodes are produced by me, Devin.